All right, guys. We can no longer say anything inappropriate. We're live.
Darn.
I'm kidding. Hey, everybody. Roger Hayer, Brittany Daly, Rosie Hayer. Glad to have everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Missed you
So,
all.
yeah, we have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, we do.
I
You
think
know,
we talked
this.
about it already.
What's that?
Brie and I just talked for almost 30 minutes.
When Roger wasn't there.
I know. I was gonna say it. So you guys booked for 12:30 and show up at 12.
No, we booked for 12.
What?
The calendar said 12.
I thought y'all were trying to ditch me.
It was 12.
That's a
I don't
good.
know what. He lives in a different planet.
No. I know y'all wouldn't ditch me. I realize that.
So, what are we talking about, guys? Today is Tuesday, 30th September 2025.
So, guys, I know we this is a platform for us to talk about many different things. One is real estate, second, wealth building, third, just making choices that enhance our overall life, and quality of life. And so, those are the things that we pay attention to each week. Everybody's naturally a little bit geared to want to know about what's going on in the market, just because we've had a lot of change in the last several years, and so now that's not week by week. Week by week, the market's not going to change a whole lot, but there's still a lot of things to be excited about, and I think it's always been true. One thing's always been true: investing in real estate is a long term game. And so, what are some of the long term things that we're looking at? We'll discuss some of those ideas, and then we're all reading some books, right? So we'll be discussing and takeaways from those. So, Rosie, did you want to share anything, Rosie, Bree?
So, overall, in terms of real estate, I have experienced that sellers are so much more suggestible to a right adjustment, and that's refreshing to see. I feel like they have seen it, felt it, and are willing to do what it takes, which is beautiful. Second, I would say the activity. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all my people who actually show properties. Without you all, things
Mhm.
won't sell. Things won't sell. So I just want to take a special thank you to all my people who are representing buyers in the best light and making their dream come true. What a sincere commitment to dedicate a big portion of your day to dedicate to finding somebody's roof over their head. What an honorable thing to do. So I just want to say thank you. Without y'all's showings and inquiries, we won't have a transaction. So I want to thank you today for that. Real estate market in general, things are moving.
And
Um,
Rosie, you brought up a good point. Hold on, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more. So I remember my uncle was a real estate broker back in the '90s, and '90s and '80s, and I remember he used to carry around a binder of active listings, and this is before they had everything on the MLS, and the inventory was available then, and the inventory is available now to preview, to see. I think back then they used to have magazines that came out, and I think the inventory will always be there. But I think there is something that professionals do in that line of work where they actually get somebody to decide, make a decision on a property they really want. Like they help them decide, help them find clarity. And I think that's an attribute that will always remain. Like, how do you narrow down your choices from the 5,000, 10,000 homes available? Like, where do you decide to call home ultimately? Does that make sense? Like, it's always, inventory's always been there. It's always going to be there. But what is it that you have to do to step into that role of helping someone decide on their forever home? Because when we buy a home, we're not imagining that we're going to sell and get up and move from there. For that moment, in that instant, it's a part of it's some part of forever that we're wanting to situate ourselves, you know?
Really
For
well.
you, how does it sit with you?
Yeah, I feel like that's, part of what we do day in and day out is to have conversations with people, get to understand what's really important to them, what kind of lifestyle do they want to live, where do they see themselves, and then to guide them into maybe narrowing it down, but also opening up possibilities that they may not have thought of themselves because
Mm.
I can't tell you how many times someone has told me one thing and then we end up looking at something completely different and they fall in love with that. So, um, I don't know. Sometimes I like to think of real estate like matchmaking.
Oh,
You're not just like finding a home, you're matching a family with a property and somewhere that they're going to live. And I don't know, it's like a fun, I don't know, it's like a matchmaker.
yeah.
That's brilliant.
It really reminds me of someone who's honed in their profession, because like someone who performs surgery, right? If they've performed, there's obvious difference between a doctor who's done a few handful of surgeries and then another doctor who's done thousands of surgeries, right? And so like their acumen, their ability, their like everything they've learned along the way, all the nuances, the things that could go wrong, don't go wrong. They catch errors before they happen. And they kind of even know what to anticipate the person. What are they going to say? What are the objections? What are the natural occurring like c- concepts, you know, like where do people get hung up?
Or also
Um,
like reading between the lines. Like anyone can ask someone, how many bedrooms do you want? What square footage do you want? Where do you want to be? Like that. But you, half the time people don't know. You don't know what you don't, if you've never bought a home before, you don't
yeah,
know what you really want until you understand what's important to them as a person. And once you get to understand them as people, then you look at homes and you start seeing where their eyes light up or where they say, and then you can say, okay, based on this, they really want something that is XYZ, whatever that looks like.
yeah.
You know, Bree, you have been primarily working with all our buyers for a very long time now. And going back to the time where I used to show properties, I couldn't help sometimes but look at like this silent disappointment sometimes buyers will carry when they were on a house hunt, first of all. And they were like, wow, I saw first three house, none of that matched. And I can tell like silently in the back of their mind, they're thinking, maybe there is nothing out there in my budget. Maybe I'm not going to find anything that's going to fit my needs. I'm going to have to compromise. And I used to tell people, when I would open the door up and I say, you know what, it could feel like this is going to be same as the last three houses you saw. But sometimes we're just one click away and you step into a new space and everything feels completely different. And you feel it in your chest and your heart before your brain decides. And this could be that moment. Let's see what we have ahead of us. And it would be amazing, like how somebody just needs a little bit of a reassurance to keep going. And I've never seen any buyer later on say, man, I had to compromise. They all said we found exactly what we wanted. And it's such a gratifying thing to be able to have faith in the process when somebody's starting to lose it. And I think we carry it for other people sometimes. And it's a very beautiful work. I think a lot of people don't realize the value um, an expert has at no cost to you when it's house hunting. And I also see people, which I get phone calls off, where somebody's like, I just want to make an offer directly to you. You can. You can make a direct offer to me as a listing agent. You can request to see the property. But because of the code of ethics and our fiduciary responsibility, we're now going to be able to disclose everything about the seller's intentions and everything that you might just ask bluntly. And I have to say this: I was met with many times in last 15 years, met with resistance where people are like, well, why can't you tell me why seller is not selling? And we cannot disclose that. They hired us for that confidentiality, right? And how much people would ask me straight up, how much do they owe on the house? None of the buyer's business.
Yeah.
Like the house, make the best offer based on what it is in the market. And this is exactly what your representation does for you. And they protect your interest, right? And it's sad to see that, I don't know. I still don't know.
But I think it's experts in all industries. Like I just look at mechanics and there's this certain mechanic, and then they have like tier levels,
Yeah.
like 5 diamond, and for someone of that high caliber, they'll fly them around the country, take them to different places, give them training, pay for it. The company pays for it. And this guy was going on about his profession. He was telling me about it, and I was thinking, man, like you had to spend your like entirety of your time for that, at least the last 15 years, just learning and studying cars, like become totally obsessed with it, and it's a day in day out thing for you. And so I think what we're talking about is people who are constantly investing in their trade and getting better at their trade. And that there's something about that. Like think about it. Why do we watch Monday Night Football? Why do we pay so much money to go watch two boxers duke it out? Because there's an element of watching a professional handle business that's really captivating. You know?
Well,
Because otherwise, like for me, for someone to step into the role, anyone's role really, they would have to first put in all the time that they put in and do all the learning they had to do to do that job as efficiently. And so how beautiful is it that we can just, we can find those people. We don't have to learn everything about it. We can kind of tap
I
into
still
their.
remember one of my close friends, and it's understandable. A version of that this exists in every industry, and I was in real estate for a few years at that time, and I remember him saying, like, very innocently on the call or in person, I don't remember, but he was like, you know what, you really don't need an expert. All you have to do is just talk to a few, and you get the whole insight about everything. And I was like, I wonder why would somebody feel that way?
Yeah.
That they can get insight. It's almost like by talking to a few doctors, I got all the insight to what's possibly wrong with my condition, right?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, Bree, you and I, like, I can I think we both can agree, even today, from our discussion in 30 minutes, we learned something completely different. Like something happened that has never happened before, right? And I'm wondering, like, how can we learn something in 2, 3 conversations when I'm still learning every day for 15 years, right? So, kudos to them, kudos to
There are
them.
those people.
Why
There
not?
are there are those people that they feel like they know everything already. And I think there was an Epictetus quote. Gosh, it's probably on my phone. I need to silence it too, so probably not. I'll let y'all resume, and then when I find it, I'll let you
Bree,
know.
why don't you start talking about some of the great books you have been reading? Maybe we
Oh,
can just.
I actually pulled it up. I didn't realize it was going to be that fast. All right, so Epictetus. It's not possible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. It's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows.
Mm. Yeah, that's
You
true.
think you already know, but that's kind of maybe what is that, Rosie? Like where somebody wants to protect themselves, they by coming off as they know everything. So then that's like a shield, right?
You know, I don't know. Let's talk to Bree. Bree, what kind of books have you been reading, and how does this tie into some of the things that we have been talking about?
Well, I was gifted this. Okay,
Ah,
this book um over the weekend by my friend, the greatest salesman in the world, and I just started it yesterday. And apparently, you have to read like slower, on this because
What?
huh?
What?
it's supposed to take you a while to read it. So you're supposed to take like 1 month to implement
Oh,
and basically like rewire your brain on this. So I'm on chapter 2, and I think I can read one more chapter and then I have to wait a month. But
oh,
basically, it was written in 1968, and my friend got it for me because she read it from Matthew McConaughey's book. And he said that this book changed his life. And when it was written, it was before they understood that you can rewire your brain and like the plasticity of our brains and everything like that. And so I'm excited to see what this says. I don't know yet,
Yeah.
but this is
What was chapter 1 all about?
it was just setting up the story. So the
Yeah.
story is basically of this merchant who has a bunch of like a trading business, and he has a employee that's like his right hand man. Bookkeeper is what it's called in the book, and he basically says, "Go sell everything." And the bookkeeper's like, "I don't know if you really want me to do that." And then he goes into a story about, remember when I did this at the beginning? And then he takes him into a room, and now we're about to open up the most prized possession, which is these 12 scrolls.
Squirrels?
Scrolls.
Not squirrels.
Scroll, SCROLLS.
Rolls of paper.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's going to be, but we'll see. But can I tell my other one real quick?
Yeah. The one you're more excited about.
I saw that you just shift. She's like, this one is going to take me a month, but let me tell you what I just did.
Yeah.
So this is a series I'm reading, and it has nothing to do with it's fiction, okay? It's Throne of Glass fiction. It's the series Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I'm on the last book. But I'm not going to get into what it's about. But one of the main characters, Aelin, she is all strategy. Things that you wouldn't think, she has already thought 20 steps ahead. And you're finding it out, like in the book, what's happening. And the characters are all finding it out. And there's some war that's going on. And they're always like, oh, you had already thought about this, and we would have never thought that. And she has to keep them in the dark, because if not, then they could move out on different things. So this is really like, it's a great book, like entertainment wise, but it's also, I'm learning about strategy through Sarah J. Maas.
So tell me like an example of one of the strategies that captivated you or
Hold on,
stuck
can
with
I?
you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you, or Roger has a question?
No, I'll ask after you answer. Just
Um,
letting you know.
Like one of the strategies she had is like she had to, I'm gonna butcher it because we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But basically, like she had already called out to these other places to come and support her and come to her aid in this war, right? But she didn't let any of her other people know. So when this armada of like this fleet of ships are coming, everyone is panicking and freaking out, and she's fine. And they show up and everyone's ready to fight. And she's like, "Hi, my friend. I'm glad you came." Like those kind of things.
Okay.
Them, because you don't want anyone to know, because what if they don't show up?
So it's almost like about keeping a secret, but also keeping it. Because have you ever been asked that question? What would you change if you could go back in time? And then if we already knew everything already, we wouldn't be motivated anymore. It kind of reminds me of that. Like if those people were all of a sudden brought to light of what could happen, then they probably wouldn't want to do it. There's nothing exciting about doing something that you already know how it's going to work out.
Or you might not be as prepared for something else that might go wrong in it.
Yeah. I think you lose a little bit of that like bandwidth to be flexible if you already know what's going to happen. Yeah.
If your mind
actually,
if your mind's made up, right?
So what you're saying is, Brie, like in this book, this character who is very strategic in thinking, she doesn't talk about all the 10, 20 steps she has thought of ahead because it was not suited to do that. But she has already seen those things through on how they will pan out. And she always had something ready to implement or come up with when the moment arrived. She was never caught off guard. It's fascinating you're saying that, and it can come across as like somebody being secretive. But what if it is just that it is not time to talk about it? Maybe someone is not ready to receive the information that we have in hand ready. And that's one of the things that I had to learn the hard way. that listen all the way. And if you listen attentively, people will tell you what they're willing to absorb more. They will tell you their bandwidth.
Yeah.
And bandwidth in terms of not on how much they can handle, but bandwidth in terms of how much they're willing to receive more, how hard they are on their perception.
So I'll give you an example. The other day, I asked my son, I said, "Did you shave?" Because he cut himself pretty bad right here. He's 15, so it's all new for him. And and he was like, "Why?" And he was a little combative. And he was like, "Why do you want to know?" I was like, "Listen, man, like you could come from curiosity. Why don't you come from curiosity and ask me why I'm saying it like this, or why am I questioning you?" And he was like, "Okay, why?" I was like, "Cause I think you look innocent. Like you look youthful with your beard, and you look handsome. Like you're my child. Of course, I want to see you like that." And he goes, "Oh, okay." So, but so much of the world has an idea about where you're getting at already, you know. And sometimes you got to slow it down to be like, "Well, allow me to open up some more."
I feel like only time we react or feel the attack is when we feel caught. Like if I don't have any
Uh,
intent to really make someone upset, you can be a little shook by why that is being brought up, but there's no need to be. There's no need in the moment to correct the record because you understand. Okay, I know where the defensiveness is coming from, right? You were doing something that you're not supposed to, and it left some breadcrumbs.
yeah, you got a big old gash on your face.
Yeah, and you think that we can just ignore it and not address it, and
That happens
You
so
mentioned
often.
that we don't have to correct the record, but isn't that what we have to do as like it's in our nature to want to create the record?
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's an impulse, huge impulse. We want human urge to correct the record is irresistible.
Well, also think about it being an impulse.
It kind of starts
It
internally in
takes
your mind.
over.
Like, let me tell you something.
It
Let me
takes over.
think.
Yeah.
That's how it starts for me. And then I just like, okay, no, no, don't say anything.
But lately, I've been enjoying annihilating my ego. And for anyone who hasn't tried this, you got to try this. I
Well, where
mentioned it
was I when
before?
that was happening?
No.
No,
Let
no,
me
no,
tell
no.
you.
Let me explain. It's not. We had a conversation around this, so it was not annihilation of the ego. It was inhalation of the ego.
No, I quit that long time ago. Uh, so no, listen. No.
Correcting the
So
record. Listen.
annihilation of the ego has been a lot of fun for me personally because Rosie might say something to me. Oh, the other day she goes, "Oh yeah, look at you sitting over there like the Buddha, like nothing impacts you." That was so funny. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Rosie, are you paying attention?
But
Yeah,
it's about letting that blame happen. You know, like what's the worst that could happen? But anyways, what book are you reading, Rosie?
I'm reading Plato's Apology.
Yeah.
Plato's Apology, where I'm listening to how Socrates is he's defending his position on how he is not corrupting the youth because he's prosecuted for that. And one of the things that I actually have it, what I was paying attention to was opening that thing that you caught me doing. Um, he was very interesting. I'm just going to read these few lines to you.
So, you already have it pulled up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bree knows I have it pulled up. So I'm going to read a few lines because to me, this was the paragraph that stuck out the most. It says, that would have been a dreadful thing. While he's addressing the jury and the audience in his own defense, nobody's representing him, he's representing himself.
No.
He said that would have been a dreadful thing, and then I might truly have justly been brought here not for believing that there are gods, disobeying the oracle, fearing the death, and thinking I was wise when I was not. This is interesting. To fear death is to think oneself wise when one is not, to think one knows what one does not know. No one knows whether death may be the greatest blessing, yet men fear it as if they knew it was the greatest evil. The
Man,
most blameworthy ignorance is to believe one knows what one does not know. I do know, however, that it is wicked and shameful to do wrong, to disobey one's superior, be he God or man. So, what I walked away with this, that how many times we fear things we don't even know.
I tried explaining this to my mother-in-law and mom yesterday on a call, and they didn't understand it because it got lost in translation.
See, that's what I
So,
would meant by that you're supposed to hold it in. You have to first see if someone is ready to receive the message.
no, they didn't understand it. They're
This
like,
learner,
Huh?
"Huh?"
maybe they needed to see it, you know?
They needed to see it in you first.
I was like, "This guy was willing to die for what he believed," and they were like, "What? That doesn't
They,
make
they,
sense."
they still saw you in your diapers. They're like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
ah,
yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's
not
right.
right now, kid.
Yeah, not right now.
I think older the parents get, more dismissive they get. They're like, oh, you don't know.
They zone
You
out.
haven't seen life, what I have seen.
They zone.
So,
They're
yeah.
they're so dis. You know.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that, like, look, so many times, like, I feel like this is the moment that appears so covertly all day long in our lives, and I even in our business, like in so many times in a day, I'm like, okay, why am I avoiding this moment? Because I don't know how it's going to pan out. Where all I have to do is just find out in the moment how it's going to pan out, right?
Yeah.
So it's always a conversation, like, okay, this is that moment where you step again in. This is the moment we step again in. And sometimes you get tired of stepping it in because you're like, okay, I need a little break. I need a little certainty break, right? And I don't know, how
A
is it for
certainty
y'all?
break. A certainty break. I like that.
Yeah.
That's when I go to Roger. Bree, how is it for you? Or actually, I go to Bree too. I can always predict how she's gonna make me feel. Okay, now you know. Now you both know.
Now we know.
You, Bree, tell me, how does it sit with you? Like, from all that you have read, and how does it tie to you?
Well, to be honest, I am a visual learner, so it's hard for me to remember everything without seeing it. But what I'm gathering from it is that fearing the unknown is not helpful, and we don't know what we don't know. So it's I don't
It
know,
kind
it's
of
almost
ties
like I
together.
too.
Yeah.
Like, you can't fear it, but you don't know what you don't know. So why don't you just do the damn thing? I don't know. Just
Yeah, I think it was later in
Sounds
the
a lot
example.
like your book too. The theme is kind of consistent a little, isn't it?
I haven't tied it to that yet,
There's
but
some like
maybe.
crossover.
She's
Yeah.
still gathering.
My brain is like,
No,
what?
because Socrates is saying, "Hey, look, like death is something that you are assuming is bad. You haven't experienced it.
And the ones who experienced never came back and told you it was good or
You
bad.
don't, and you don't know about it. And so it's like that knowing is removed. Like where it's kind of like she could tell them that nothing's going to happen, but
Does it
it's like in
matter?
the knowing. Something's lost in the knowing.
I think what it is, for me, how it lands with me is that only speak about things that are true in your experience. It
Okay.
means you've experienced them and you can speak about them. Speaking about things that are not true in our experience is misleading because we don't know how is it going to be for other person. It was fearful for you to think about it, but how do we know it's not going to be easy for the other person to experience it? So I
Yeah.
feel like we pass down limiting beliefs and fears when we speak about things that are not true in our experience. And I think as a parent and child, that's a big one too, because out of like protection, a lot of parents can say, why would you do that? They have no idea what would it feel like to do that because they never did it. But they will tell their child, why would they do that? I grew up with some of those things in my experience. And once I got on my feet, the very first thing I did is go do the things I was told not.
You were told not to, yeah.
I
You
told
want to
not
find out for
to
yourself.
because I wanted to find it for myself, right? And I think, yeah, that's where it lands with
I
me.
remember sitting in class and and it was an economically kind of not that wonderful of an area, but I remember sitting across from two of my classmates, and these two girls were going back and forth with one another, and they're just talking, and they're like, you know what, my mom said you can't do that, and she said I want to do my own learning. Yeah, remember that, Bree? Like back in the day when we used to say that. I need to learn for myself.
Yeah.
You
Oh
remember?
yeah. As a kid, I think that's a natural progression. You don't, your parents know nothing. I will tell you this. I used to teach dance. I know how to dance very well. I know how to cheer. Will Ella take my advice on anything? No. Mom, you don't know about that. I'm like, I
It's a new
taught kids
style.
just like you.
Oh, but mom, everything you taught me is in my DNA, so you have nothing new.
Just gotta
Well,
figure it out.
One
Maybe
day.
humans, we
One
just
day.
have to figure it out on our own.
Yeah. The whole
you
world
know,
is
you know
working.
what my son and I have a relationship of? I have just this intuitive bullshit meter around him. So just last night, I could tell he's messing up, right? And I was like, you know what, son? I'm just gonna sit next to you and read. He said, Mom, I don't need you to read next to me. I need my autonomy. I said, okay, you need your autonomy. I said, but I don't need no autonomy right now. I feel like I need to show up as a parent and I'm going to read next to you. Read what you need to read. You can read all night long. I don't care. He said, you're just going to sit here? I said, I'm just going to sit here. Within 20 minutes of him reading Vinland Saga, and I was reading my stuff, he's like, you know what? I think I need to submit an assignment. I said, okay, what kind of assignment are you going to submit? And I said, what's the deadline? He said, 12 midnight tonight. And we were 3 hours away from that time frame. I said, did you just recall this in this meditative moment next to me reading your book? Or you always knew there was an assignment? I mean, like, I don't know what
Oh
it
my
is.
gosh. I don't even think, I think it's you just approach him at the right time.
And then guess what? When he started doing his assignment, I got up. I was like, I think my job is over.
Okay. That's what that
Just
was.
mother's
I
instinct. You
remember
just knew to be by him. You didn't know
Yeah,
why.
I have no idea. I was just wanting to be a parent at that time for that moment. And godly, and the moments I have missed, I
that.
paid high cost for it.
Yeah. More goes unnoticed.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just what you caught.
I don't, and I don't tell him when I catch him because I don't want him to get any smarter than that.
It makes me think of the cartels. They let the one car go to take the truck.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, well, that was my reading. Don't fear the unknown.
Yeah.
What about you, Raji?
I'm reading a really good book. I'm really enjoying it. It's called. It's by this guy named Christopher Alexander. It's called The Timeless Way of Building, and it's on Audible. I don't have the copy with me, but he really emphasizes how to set off thinking about things in the right way. Like that's exactly what we've been thinking about today. Like, what is the anatomy of the right train of thought going into something? And so what he says is like we've been hardwired to plan things to the T, and that's not how things work. So here's an architect, a famed architect. He's done really phenomenal work. He's world renowned, and he's telling us that planning everything to the T. It's not conventional wisdom. It's not what I'm used to hearing. And so, and then he also talks about something that's really interesting that's changed the way that I work and approach things. Is he's got this idea of called pattern language, So pattern language is, let's say you, me, and Rosie were going out on a scavenger hunt and we wanted to win. Well, once before we start off to go look for the Easter eggs or whatever it is in this case, right? What we would do is we would really come up with a game plan, and then we would come up with the language that both of us or all of us understand. Maybe something that we could shout across the field or a way to keep count. Let's say there's 20 of something that we need to find. Well, how close to 20 are we? How are we almost, are we almost there? And how can we track our goal? What's a language that we can speak considering we're also like a football field apart, or what are the building blocks? What are the conceptual, like, what are the things we can set in place? And then those things end up serving us in designing this, whatever it is that we're creating. And so what's like a real world application of it is, like for instance, if let's say he also has this idea about bringing life and vibrancy to different rooms and areas, and when we see that things aren't being utilized, it's probably because there's some sort of design fault. Like, for instance, if no one's going into your backyard because it's just something's awkward about it, well, eventually what that'll lead to is some sort of deterioration, right? Your backyard, no one's going there. That area of the house is not important. Now it's like the maybe the vegetation isn't growing the way it should be or whatever. But once you change a couple of aspects, you move some things around, and you really work off of your needs. And what are your needs for that area? What are what are some ways that you can bring life to that area? And then you'll notice that people will go outside and start to use that space. And once it starts to get used, then it starts to get maintained. And we can transfer these ideas to like any area of our life. Like, what's not working? Why is it not working? How do I bring more vibrancy to it? What is the pattern language around it? Like let's say going to the gym, having the gym bag ready, that would be like a pattern language. Like the bag is ready. It has my shoes. It has my socks. I can just pick it up and go to the gym. Would be one step resolved into making sure I could get to the gym, and focusing on those pieces rather than than trying to go to the gym and then falling off and then getting back on. It's probably because something was not functional. It didn't have like great design.
Does pattern language means the patterns that you are doing to achieve whatever it is that you're doing? Is that
Yeah,
pattern?
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that makes
yeah, so like how we're
How
doing
did
the
it make sense to you? How did it make sense to you?
Okay, 75 hard. Let me before you. It would be a really good example. So how we have a pattern language. Like after you're done, you take a picture and you text. Well, that would be like, okay, we all agreed on that pattern to exist, and so we know what that picture is. But if you sent that picture in a random group text, they'd be like, "What the heck are you doing?" But here we have an understanding that sending a picture in a text means you've completed your 75 hard that day. Does that make sense? Okay, that's all. Please, Bree.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Whenever at first when you were saying pattern language, I was thinking you come up with a new language, and I was getting a little confused. But then when you did the example of the gym bag, I thought, okay, your pattern language is, let's say you are going to the gym. What do you do to make it easier, more attractive to go to the gym? You pick out your clothes, you pack the bag, you have everything ready to go. That way, it's a simple pattern that you're not having to use your brain to think about these things beforehand. Almost like Rosie always says, like you think about your future self and you basically plan for something that will help your future self. Your pattern language will be helping that future self.
That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
bingo. So, like for instance, I bought shorts that are too short. I can't wear them to the gym. I don't like them, and so now my wardrobe is off. And if I go ahead and make these little changes, make sure I have my running shoes, the kind I like to wear. I have my wardrobe. It's hanging in the closet where it's supposed to be hanging, and now I have access to it. Now now the vibrancy is higher. Like I feel good wearing those clothes. I'm gonna go to the gym. It's where it needs to be. I can find it easily. But also when I communicate it, everybody else that I work out with, they know what it is that I'm looking to create, and they're kind of speaking the same language as me.
Oh, that's interesting. I like this.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So I think one of the things that I've also now lately realized is that when we have a pattern language in our households or in our friendship, in our businesses, right? It's so easy to maintain an affinity for something for a long period of time. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? Like, if we use our garage as a place that we throw everything unwanted, right? Like, let's just take a simple
Yeah.
example. As a family, we all agree as a unit that we're going to put our shoes away in this one little closet, and they're not going to be just everywhere in the house, right? Look at the aesthetics of the place you just created. But everybody has to agree on it, right? And when everybody doesn't agree on it, I don't think it's not a conscious way of living, because we're creating experience for others that they are not appreciating, and they would have much rather maintain their environment a different way without us, right? So I feel like we call it freedom, I call it being out of love with something, right? Putting the keys back, like my dad used to be very meticulous about it. And he would tell me, he said, you should put your things back in a place that even if the lights are out, you can go to that place and go grab it, right? And I thought it was being uptight, right? But as I grew in my life, I realized that if we can release our working memory from remembering where I put things last, we can open ourselves to some more non-ordinary things, which are more desirable and actually lead to our growth. So I feel like,
And you're bringing a lot of life to those areas, like that
yeah,
bowl where you're putting the keys at every day. Now it's getting used. There's an
you're
element
adding a pattern to
of
it. You're
life.
adding. We call it something different in Sanskrit, but we call it memory. We're creating a memory of something in there, right? And I think it's a beautiful way to live. Like, for example, in our business, every morning we say before 8 o'clock, what in our channel?
Good morning.
So they actually did this.
Pattern language. It
Yeah,
creates unity for us, right? Hey, I know you're there. It's almost like letting somebody know I'm here, I'm checked in, you need me, I got you, right? Imagine if you didn't hear from anybody.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know if they're living or dead,
Yeah.
right? So I think this is a beautiful way to live, to be able to consciously create an awareness in our environment and allow things that are not functional and serving to us to let them go.
they
Because
actually. One last thing I wanted to share with you, I think will really open something up for everybody, is that they did this test, they did this research. It's solid research, right? So they would sit people down and they would say, "What's more alive? What's more living? This picture or this picture?" And they would share both pictures, and then people would have to decide on which one's more living. And initially, people had kind of a response to it. They said, "Well, this is ridiculous. What do you mean? How do I tell if this picture of this building or this sitting area arrangement is more living this other one?" And so there was some reluctancy to answer, but basically once they got the participants on board and they did this test, they found there was a lot of congruence between what we would perceive as something being more alive or less alive. And so that's the verbiage that he coined, was like, it's more alive, something being more alive or less alive, how to bring life to a certain area of your home, or he's talking about building cities, but he says you can,
like, can
like,
you imagine a city with bunch of non-functioning things?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't work.
Like right now, I have to go to a game room upstairs. When I saw a bunch of boxes laying around, I don't know where they came from. And I don't know if they came from attic or where, but I think, Roger, we need to get rid of them.
yeah, no, trust me, we're working on it.
How do I know?
Well, they just appeared out of nowhere, right?
Okay, so you're working on them. Okay, they were hiding somewhere. Okay. I've learned to close my eyes to these things. Just
Yeah,
been
you're not
married.
allowed upstairs. I don't know what you're doing up here.
I'm only allowed in this 10 by 12-foot space or my garage.
Which she's
They
taken
live
over
in the house,
lately.
I live in the
She
garage.
took over the garage. She literally came in and moved all my stuff out.
Honey, I'm sitting in that 2 by 2 foot corner. The whole garage is your stuff.
Yeah, let's hear your side.
Okay, before it gets too personal, it's 2
Great.
minutes and 44 seconds. 2:44
2 minutes.
What?
2
You
2:44 p.m. Sillies.
Oh, that's not how you do it. That's not
I
the
know
correct
I
way.
changed on y'all. I don't know why, but
Well, now I gotta wait another 35 seconds.
ha
For you.
ha ha.
So,
How was today? Thank you for sharing the Great Salesman. And let me know how you like it. I would probably read with you.
okay, I will.
Gosh, it's been so long
We're
since
just waiting for a certain time to arrive so we can say a beautiful goodbye to you all. It has been very good. I really enjoyed meeting today. I think it was very personal, very introspective. And on this note, Roger, thank you for hosting this call today again. And Bree, thank you for sharing all the great books. And we have 45 minutes and 45 seconds.
a value, huh?
High content value for
High
delivered.
value content for y'all. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you again
Hey,
next
coffee socials for
Coffee
people.
Social is up this Friday for our investors. We're gonna kick ass and
Okay,
have
I
some
got a
fun.
text. Someone asked me, is it at 9 or is it at 10? Because they got 2 times.
Get Kay to reply to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Which one is it? 9?
9:30.
9:30.
9:30. Okay, perfect.
It's always 9:30.
You and I always have the right time. Why do you always have a wrong time? Like 12
Listen, I'm just
you, like,
confirming. I'm
12 for us.
just confirming. Just confirming. That's all.
It's 9:30. It's via Zoom. Please reach out if you haven't gotten the link to register. Registration is filling up, and we want to see your beautiful faces.
Love y'all.
Love
See you
y'all.
later.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.